Pundit is the football trivia game, ideal for the football head in your life. Every sale of Pundit using the code LIONS at checkout earns you a 10% discount plus a donation for the Lions Food Hub. Visit punditgames.co.uk to order your copy or visit @punditgames on Twitter.
You're listening to Achtung Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Good morning, dear listeners. Welcome to Achtung Millwall, this bright, sunny Sunday morning. Happy day in the life of Millwall Football Club after that excellent, I thought, win yesterday at the Cardiff City Stadium. Joining us today to discuss that excellent result is the man who was there, Steve Lee. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Very, very good to see you, and pleased to meet you as well, Graham.
And also joining us on the call, as you'd have heard there, is Graham Payne. How are you doing, Graham?
Good, Nick. Thanks. Pleased to meet you and all, Steve.
So, boys, I thought that was one of the better results and one of the better team performances. Maybe not as spectacular, Steve, as maybe the Watford game, for example, but I put it in the same kind of category because that was a hard-fought win at times against a team that looked quite dangerous. I thought Cardiff yesterday.
They were dangerous on more than one occasion, and some sort of skillful defending from Hutchinson and some good goalkeeping from Long was order of the day. But as a team performance, it was solid. There was a lot of energy again, a lot of decent organisation, and a commitment that you need at a ground like Cardiff when you're playing away there. And Cardiff weren't a bad side. I thought they were quite dangerous at times, and they were certainly up for a game. They weren't a Rotherham type side who I thought were poor the other week. They were tenacious and. They were really up for a game, and I'm surprised they're struggling as badly as they are. I think it's a question of several managerial changes recently hasn't helped them.
No,
but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, and the nice thing about it was that we could have had more than one goal. We did create one or two decent chances.
We did.
It's just was 1-0 a reflection of the game. But it doesn't matter. It's still 3 points. That's the reflection of the game I think we all wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Graham, one or two pre-match team changes. Murray Wallace dropping out. He's been heavily criticised of late, Murray Wallace, being out of form. I think, fairly. I don't think he's been the Murray we would have, looked for from the last few seasons, really, this season. Apparently he had an injury to his foot, apparently. So Callum Styles filling in that left-sided position, and the return also of Mason Bennett starting in for another man much criticised, fairly or unfairly, local Sammer. Styles, I thought, did a good job yesterday. I thought we looked, hard to say it perhaps, Graham, but we looked a bit better without Murray yesterday at times.
Yeah, we did. He did fill in quite well, Styles. It was good. I thought Mason Bennett had a good game as well. Good hour, because that's all he only played 60 minutes, unfortunately. But in the first half, he did. I thought he played quite well, and he was tracking back, helping Styles out. But I think both changes were warranted, and they worked well. Also, thought as Steve has already mentioned, I think I was holding my hands up. I wanted Bart back in the team, but I thought George Long had a very good game yesterday, and I think he is going to be the number one now to the end of the season. I think. Yeah,
I think I've seen. I don't think it was Gary Rowett saying it, Steve, but I think the comments from the journalists that cover the club that Long looks like he's set in position now. It's now Bart as the reserve and Long as the first choice goalkeeper. I think increasingly we're starting to see improved reaction goalkeeping from Long, and certainly defensively. Although we looked open at times yesterday, I thought overall the defence was outstanding yesterday, Steve.
It was. I think Long's in the side for his distribution initially. I think
Yeah. Yeah.
Bart's weakness is his kicking and the distribution of the ball. So Long has been superior for that reason. But his goalkeeping has improved as well. But goalkeeping is all about what the chances you're presented with, and Long has taken his opportunity. To be fair to him, and obviously we missed him for a couple of games when he had to sort of take a sabbatical. But it's Bartley's a good goalkeeper. There's no doubt about it. He's proved on many occasions what he's been as an asset to the club. But Long's the number one for me now at the moment, I'm afraid.
Yeah, no. As we approach the kind of the business end of the season, big February looming in front of us. We've got actually a 2-week break now until our next home game against Sunderland, which is welcome. Obviously, Gary Rowett's in his post-match interviews referred to the thinness of the squad, and I suppose, although that was a great fighting performance yesterday, I mean, we have to be realistic, Graham, that we need to be strengthened in certain areas, don't we? With Styles filling in at left back, to me, that's one of the areas where I'd think that the club must be looking, because for whatever reason, Murray doesn't seem to be on his game this season. And Styles in that position does feel a bit like a sticking plaster when, and Scott Malone comes and goes somewhat in recent times. So I'd thought that'd be one of the positions they're looking to strengthen in the next, 10 days left now of the transfer window?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll put it on the group chat. We've got 2 weeks now before Sunderland, unless hopefully we can get some players in, because I think if we're going to challenge for the playoffs, we need some players in. As you say, maybe a left back, and definitely a forward and a wide player for me. But whether we'll be able to go that far and get three, and I'm not so sure. But I think he must be definitely looking for a forward. I mean, if that
one would be nice, Graham, wouldn't it? One would be nice.
Yeah, it would.
Three would be lovely, but I agree. I think there's 3 areas where we need to strengthen. I mean, Steve, that the goal when it came, and we'd missed a great chance through Zian, hadn't we, on 11 minutes. I thought he that was actually quite remiss of Zian, a man that we praise a lot on these shows, but he missed an easy chance there. Maybe another day that goes in, I don't know. But the goal when it came was very much, it's one of those wonderful Jake Cooper runs. I love it, Steve, when Jake Cooper gets forward and takes on these runs. There's no better sight in football than a dribbling centre half, is there?
Absolutely. No, he took the chance, and it was a mazy run. I think is probably the best way to describe
Mazy,
it.
good word.
But
I like that
I
word.
Watched I watched the highlights, but I'm a bit of a critic of Bradshaw this season. I haven't been his biggest fan, but it was a very opportunistic goal. That defender hesitated, and Bradshaw didn't, and nicked it to put it past the keeper. So you've got to give Bradshaw a great deal of credit for that goal, as much as Cooper's mazy run.
Yeah, I agree. A goal poach, and an instinctive moment. Persistence took him through, and he kind of curled it around the back of the defender there, Graham, didn't he? I mean, it was a really a chance, moments of opportunity, as they call it, and he took it well.
He did. You've got to say the defender was obviously at fault.
Yeah,
he's hoping
absolutely.
The ball's going to run out of play, and as Bradshaw's nipped in and stuck it away. Happy days.
I suppose
that's just what we needed at the time.
I suppose that's why Cardiff are struggling if defenders are hesitating in their own 6-yard box in that way. I mean, we saw an incident. I don't know if that was in the first or second half. I can't recall now. But Tom Bradshaw hooked clear, and I thought George Long was there to take the ball, but Bradshaw took no chances whatsoever and put it into row G, H, or whatever in the stands. That's what you need to do, and I suppose Cardiff not taking that kind of route out of a dangerous situation there, they paid for it with the goal. We looked a bit open, Steve, at times. I thought it was, I'm both praising and damning the defence in a way, because we did very well, but also we looked a little bit shaky in moments, didn't we?
I think that was the way we were set up. Cardiff had done their homework. They know how we play when Billy Mitchell and George Saville were alongside each other. were filling certain gaps, but they found the space to play around that, and it took us a bit of a time to sort of adjust. Now I think there's a difference there, because when Vogelsammer has played on the right in front of McNamara, he can sometimes fill that gap. So obviously he was missing yesterday. I agree. Mason Bennett had a good hour, and does his back defensive duties very well. He didn't let Styles down there, but it gave those gaps, and we weren't pressing. I think Fleming could have worked a bit harder. Personally, I think that's where we needed to be a little bit more busier, and he was. He was lackadaisical. I think it was a question, but I don't know what the instructions are to him of whether he's playing that number 10 role. Whether Rowett's saying don't do the hard graft. We'll let the rest of the team do that. Just find the space and we'll give you the ball. But I thought that was the difference. Bradshaw did his usual running around trying to break up some of the play, but. Cardiff did their homework, so they knew how to work with our tactics.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, half time 1-0. As ever, with a Millwall away leading situation, Graham, you always think a second goal would be really nice, give a bit of a cushion. And we never get that second goal, do we? We're always clinging on with our fingernails, rather. And I think Cardiff, I don't know how you saw it, but Cardiff came out with real intent at the start of the second half. I thought we were up against it to start off with, but I've got to take my hat off to Gary Rowett. He gets criticised a lot, so I think we should all be as quick to praise as damn him when the opportunity rises. But bringing on Ryan Leonard just seemed to take out the sting of Cardiff. We seemed to, after Leonard came into the game, we didn't look as shaky or as fragile as we did in that opening, was it about 15 minutes or so of the start of the second half. I thought we could easily concede during that period.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The first 15 minutes, we were very shaky. But just going back, just before half-time, Bradshaw had another chance that made it 2-0, where Honeyman run down the wing, crossed it, and he just didn't connect properly. And you go in at half-time, 2-0. The game's done then, I think, because Cardiff were, they got booed off at 1-0, 2-0, it would have been even worse. But yeah, the first 15 minutes we did look a bit shaky, and it was a good move to bring Leonard on. I know straight away, he's gone 5 at the back again, but I think in that instance, it worked for the better, with that move.
Well, it worked well, Steve, because I mean, I'm just looking at the notes I made. I watched it yesterday, and a lot of blue chances in the opening 15 comparatively. After the introduction of Leonard, really nothing, maybe a late one. They scuffed over the bar deep into quite a lot of added time. But largely speaking, from that moment onwards, we kept them quiet. And I think that's, at 1-0, obviously you've only one mistake or error away from an equaliser. But I thought we looked largely in control after he came into the game.
Yeah, Graham's observation about going to 5 at the back is absolutely spot on. Because what that did, that allowed Saville and Mitchell to go a bit further forward and then try and fill that space that I was, alluding to just now. And it was a pleasant surprise to see Ryan Leonard back, and certainly brought some energy again back into the side. And the point you made, Nick, about the substitutions, Rowett realises the game is about 15, 16 players now. It's we've got to recognise the fact that if we ask the players to do the work and the workloads they're expected to do, they're going to need to sort of have fresh legs at certain parts of the game. So the one substitution I was a little bit worried about was Vogelsammer coming on for Honeyman, because Vogelsammer brought nothing on as far as I was concerned in that. I know he was playing down the left, but he brought nothing to the game. I mean, Shackleton's always busy, and makes the right sort of contribution. But Vogelsammer, I would have played him down the centre and maybe brought Fleming, because Fleming was getting tired. But then they were trying to knock long balls up to him, and Fleming don't want that, and he hasn't got the pace to go past a player.
No, he doesn't. No.
So I think that although the other substitutions were bang on the money, Vogelsammer has Vogelsammer fallen out with Rowett? I don't know. It just seems that he's
drawing some criticism generally, Steve, isn't he, Vogie? And there was an article I saw the other day. I think Ryan wrote an article where he's looking at his stats. I'm not a great one for statistics personally, but he's just starting to. I mean, even in block one, he's starting to get snipes from the crowd. Fairly or unfair, I don't know. I suppose he could do with a goal. He's been unlucky on a couple of occasions, hit the woodwork a few times, and he could use some good times, couldn't he, Vogie? I don't know. I suppose he's that very Millwall player, Graham. That Vogelsammer is a hard-working, seems like a decent bloke, and that goes a long way down Millwall, doesn't it? You know, if you work hard and you seem like a decent person, somehow that gets you out of a lot of holes, doesn't it? You know, talent is not always the highest thing on the Millwall agenda historically.
No, but I agree with Steve. When he made the substitution, I thought he would go down the middle, not out wide left.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I read the article, what you were saying, and his stats, are not that good. But as you say, what do you read into that? But he's supposed to, if he's a centre forward, and maybe give him that. Maybe if he's going to be on the bench, and maybe then give him the opportunity when Bradshaw tires, rather than
gives Brayshaw
I think
a break, perhaps. Yeah. No, I take the point. I do take the point, chaps. Yeah. There we are. That's Gary. There was one beautiful, and I don't use that word lightly, Steve. Beautiful move on 82 minutes where Fleming, who can infuriate and excite in equal measure, can't he? He backheeled a pass into the path of Shackleton, who should have done better in front of goal. I thought that was the moment where we got that second goal. But that's those little moments like that are uplifting, aren't they? I mean, it's just where you get a sense of, as much as Fleming you can talk about his pace or lack of, and other aspects of his game. Moments like that are what you go to watch football for. I just thought it was a real uplifting moment in the game.
But what he did there, what was the best thing about that Fleming attack? He got himself between the ball and the defender. So the defender had to make a decision. Was he going to foul him and give us an opportunity? Because Fleming was never going to get away. As we know, he hasn't got the pace to get away like some players. But he just kept the defender behind him, which was and with a lot of body strength. And he then obviously ran out of steam. Didn't I suppose the goalkeeper probably did the right job trying to get the angle cut out. But at least we had midfield players following up, behind him. So at least Shackleton had made the run. Strangely, the linesman put up an offside flag, and
right.
I couldn't work out what that was.
I missed that.
And it was after Shackleton shot and saved.
So it would have been disallowed had it gone in then. In that case, yeah.
Well, I'm not certain, but the flag went up because there was then a free kick. The only thing I could have thought of is that because when Fleming went to try and regain the possession of the ball after Shackleton's miss, was he coming from an offside position then? That was the only conclusion I could draw from it. But the linesman sort of put the flag up, and everyone sort of around was saying, "What's he given offside for?" And they say on reflection, that's the only reason I can put to it. But it was a golden chance, and Shackleton would have been well worth a goal.
Yeah, wonderful move and wonderful imagination to produce that situation. It finished 1-0, of course, after quite a lot of added time. There's some great defending going in that added time there, Graham. I just got a few notes here. Great defending, Leonard's goalkeeping, Long took well, and Cooper late as well. So it was a team effort and an excellent 3 points, because it's the proverbial difficult place to go, isn't it, Cardiff? We don't seem to have had much of a great track record down there, but to go there and come away with 3 points, which keeps us in the mix, in the playoff zone. A lot of teams in that zone. Just 3 points covering West Brom now in ninth, all the way up to Watford in third place, with Burnley and Sheffield United looking like they're out on their own now. So it's going to be all about the playoffs. But it keeps us in the mix, and that's all we could have done there. So I think hats off to the team, the squad, and Gary Rowett, in fairness, for bringing back the goods from Cardiff.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think they said that's the first time won there since 2005 at Cardiff.
Yeah,
So
long while.
we never had a great, never not had a great record there. But I just want to make one point. I thought Sean Hutchinson was superb yesterday. There was a couple of times where, one in the first half where Cooper, but the ball bounced off him and the guy's gone running through, and Hutch done a lovely tackle, and he did the same thing in the second half. He makes such a difference when he's in the side. He really does.
I mean, you mentioned him. I was going to ask, he was my man of the match. So that was going to be my next point. I'm taking it, Graham, that he's your man of the match from yesterday. I definitely stood out for me for that reason. Steve, who would you take as your man of the match? Would that be Hutch or someone else?
It's between him and Long for me. I just going back to that extra time or added time. Long came out on a couple of occasions and caught the ball. In the past, Bart would come out and punch it or push it away.
Yeah,
Long got possession. That's for defenders. That's reassuring. That gives them. They can take a deep breath and absolutely right and calm it down. So it doesn't become a pinball defensive game then. So I've got to give some credit for Long, but probably Hutchinson might have shaded it, and as you say, he made a couple of very key tackles. So he doing his job. He's certainly a class act.
I picked out a few comments from the internet just to run past you boys. JP says we're now 2 points off of third place with one game in hand. So that's to be the away fixture at Luton, which is scheduled in February. And he makes the point, February's going to be a huge month. We've got about 7 or 8 fixtures to get through. We've got a little break now between the end of, now we've got transfer window period, but the next home game is February the 4th. And then we've got about 7 games in February. It's going to be a big month. And Gary Rowett himself, Steve's describing the squad, not in this interview I've got here, but I've seen it. He's actually used the words, we've got a thin squad. So really, it's going to be a crucial few days in the transfer market for Millwall.
Yeah. Malone coming on yesterday, even though it was only for a few minutes. So he's probably nearly fit. We need Malone, Ryan Leonard fit. We need Mason Bennett putting his hour in, whether it's starting or coming on during a game. But what you said right at the very beginning, we really need to add to the squad, and I think it's someone up front. Personally, that's it's got to take some of the pressure off Bradshaw and Vogelsang. The comment everybody's making a minute. If something happens to Bradshaw now, we're in the mire.
We're in stuck. Yeah, but might be you turning out there, Graham. Get your boots on, mate. You might be playing you up front because it's starting to feel that way. I mean, there was talk of Linden or Landon. I don't know which one.
Linden Dykes.
And some discussion on the fee of $3 million. I don't know. You can go around in circles. I had this conversation with my young nephew yesterday about the size of transfer fees and players going for stupid money, in my opinion. But that's the way football is. So it's no good the likes of our age group moaning about the millions that get paid for very average talents. But I do agree with Steve. It's up front. More than any other the other positions where we can get by to some level, but you can't really fake goal scoring, can you? I mean, you've either got it or you haven't. And as much as I admire that persistent goal yesterday by Tom Bradshaw, he's not going to get us the goals that are going to keep us in the mix, in my opinion. So I'm hoping that they're looking for some, hopefully, Millwall affordable foreign talent from somewhere, Holland, Belgium. I don't mind where we get them from, Portugal, Spain, wherever. Let's hope they've got something in mind because we need it.
Well, I mean, he said on his press conference, Rowett on Friday, that he's certain that there will be signings. Don't panic. We're going to get people in. Well, hopefully.
As soon as someone says to me, "Don't panic,"
yeah, that's the worst thing they can say, isn't it?
I start panicking. Don't panic.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah. No. I'm hoping that there's. I've nearly used the expression "irons in the fire" there, Steve. There's so many cliches you should avoid at Millwall, but it's a big. What's it today? It's the 22nd today, so it's 9 days till the end of the transfer window. I'm sure we're going to do our business at about 10 o'clock at night on the 31st. It's just the way that the thing works, doesn't it?
Personally, if it was my decision, I think I'd go for someone from the Championship or the division, at least below us, if we can't get a Premiership cast-off. Because if we go foreign now, it could take several weeks for them to settle in and get. And we haven't got that. As you say, a busy February. Suddenly you're into March and the run in April. If we'd have picked up that kid from Brighton, Ferguson, that would have been really useful. But he's storming it now there, so that's not going to happen.
Big shout out to one just to close us out, chaps. Dan Poor says you can stick your away attendance table up your backside. He says we may not always travel in numbers, Steve, but you can always. I mean, you could hear the Millwall travelling supporters. I just want 1,200, I think, including yourself, Steve. Really stood out on the stream that I watched, and I'll just say well done, because you always know the Millwall fans are in the stadium. And no, we may not compete numbers wise with the Sunderlands and the other, bigger clubs, but you can always hear us, can't you, when you go away, mate?
That 7 minutes in added time, the crowd really got behind the team, and I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck sort of coming up from that, and the players must get the adrenaline going again. Particularly if you've been out there for 90 odd minutes already, so it's got to be an asset for the club or for the team itself. So fair play to everybody who sort of give them a cheer.
Absolutely. It came over loud and clear yesterday. Chaps, I want to say thank you to you both. Onwards now we've got a break. We've got to have a little 2-week sabbatical now, whilst we hopefully await good news on the transfer front. But I want to say thank you, Steve. Thanks for joining us this Sunday morning. I appreciate it, mate. Good to talk to you again.
My pleasure.
And
thank you for inviting me.
No, you're welcome. Thank you to you too, Graham, for joining us from a very plush-looking office. Behind you,
it's
there.
Not
spotlights, glass walls. It looks like something from a corporate kind of drama or something. But thank you, Graham, for joining us this Sunday morning, mate. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on, Nick. Always a pleasure. Thank you, mate.
And we're going to close the show out now with a couple of voicemails sent in by John and Matt Richards. Thank you to you two, dear listeners, for tuning in to Achtung Mill. We'll be back after the Sunderland game. I might give myself a couple of weeks off. Until the next edition, thank you for listening, and Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now.
Hello?
Hi Nick, Matt Richards here, just calling in with my thoughts after that game. Tough win, tough battling, 1-0. Everybody would have taken that before the game, wouldn't they? So very, very happy with that. Backs to the wall towards the end, but I didn't think they caused us loads of trouble. Wasn't many clear-cut chances. We had most of them, obviously aside from the goal, Bradshaw had his shot. Shackleton obviously should have buried that, could have taken a touch. There were a couple of other chances as well, but it's probably quite an even game. Probably draw would have been the fair result, but we took our chances and we kept them out. So that's the game of football, isn't it, really? Some good performances out there. Thought Bennett played well on the left. He's more naturally suited there than obviously Vogelsammer. Midfield struggled in the first half, but I thought George Saville had a really, really good game. He's just made for those types of battling games, really. You can see he just loves it. Jake, a bit dodgy on his feet at the back, but Hutch was just immense. He was man of the match for me. It was just solid as a rock, and he's just superb. Great goal, really. I mean, a weird goal, but I mean the fact that Coops carried on going forward, touched the little ball forward, cheeky little pass, but Bradshaw didn't give up on it, did he? He could have done, but he just stuck his foot out, and he's opportunist goal, and it's there, 1-0. So I think all in all, really, really pleased for the fans that have gone down there, and it's freezing cold, but at least they're going to go have a nice journey coming back. It means now we've got a week off, hopefully get at least 1 or 2 players coming in, because we definitely need that, as everybody keeps saying. It means then we can be more at full strength for when we have Sunderland at home, which will no doubt be a big crowd, because they'll bring a load down. So it should be a really good atmosphere. So we're still up there, 8th now. We're still in that pack, which seems to be spreading a little bit wider after the results today. But we just need to stay hanging around now, and get in that playoff place. So really, really pleased, and looking forward to the next game. Cheers, Nick. Come on, you lines.
Hi Nick, John Rankin here, just calling in from Reading Services on a trip back from Cardiff, where we won 1-0 away from home. Pretty good away day, everyone's really buzzing. We made plenty of noise on the terraces, really got behind the team. It was a funny old performance really. Cardiff's best player was Shea Ojo by a long way, and they substituted him off in the second half, but notable differences. Callum Stiles really stood in for Murray Wallace, and I thought he did very well. All the team played well. Standout performances, Sean Hutchinson and George Long. Zian Fleming played really well. He does need someone else to bounce off though, I think. Tom Bradshaw put in a great performance, plenty of bluster, and obviously scored the goal, but I think he's given far too much workload to do, and he still needs someone to play off up front. But all in all, a pretty resilient performance. Gary Wright reverted to form. We ended the match with sort of 8 defensive midfield or out players on the pitch. There was only Vogel, Slammer and Zian Fleming, as far as I could make out, that were sort of attack minded. So pretty amazing really. We went 5 at the back in the second half and defended that 1-0 lead. Having said that, Cardiff weren't a particularly strong team. I mean, they huffed and puffed, but they didn't really have much quality, in the final moments when they created chances. I think a better team we would have struggled against. So I do think we need to raise our game a little bit if we're serious about getting in the playoffs. I think we need to recruit in this window, and I think we need to recruit, some attacking players. It was a shame we didn't see Roman Esse come on, because he could be a good outlet for Zian Fleming. But apart from that, a good away day, very valuable 3 points, very valuable indeed. So over and out, and come on you Lions.
Achtung, Millwall.